Morning, welcome back. You may be seated. Next witness.
Your Honor, do you want to address the last missing juror on the front of the record or no?
No.
Okay. We'll call Captain John DeBar, Judge.
Solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter before the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Sir.
Watch yourself. Yes, sir. And make sure you channels. Thank you, sir.
State your name and spell your last name, please.
John DeBar. D-E-B as boy, A-R-R.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. DeBar, how are you employed?
I employed with the Frenchtown Fire Department as a captain and a paramedic.
How long have you been with the Frenchtown Fire Department?
Just over 20 years.
Any other experience as a first responder?
I started my career in Bedford Township, 1998 till 2004.
So all told, how long have you been a first responder?
Approximately 26 years.
You indicated that you are a paramedic.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been a paramedic?
Approximately 23 years.
And were you employed as a firefighter and a paramedic on April 20th of 2024?
Yes, sir.
How were you assigned on that day?
I was the shift commander in charge of the day's operations.
What, I guess for those of us that aren't in the industry, what does shift commander for day's operation actually mean?
Excuse me, I'm responsible for the emergent and non-emergent response to all calls for service within the township, outside of the township, as well as general supervision associated with the personnel that are assigned to that platoon.
As a supervisor, do you respond to all the calls, or is it sort of depend on the nature of the call?
Yes, sir. It depends on the nature of the call. The higher priority calls are typically the incidents that I would respond to.
And when you say higher priority, does that mean more serious?
Yes, sir. Okay. Serious in nature.
And were you dispatched to the Swan Boat Club on April 20th of 2024?
I was.
And do you recall what that dispatch was?
Yes, sir. Berlin Township Fire Department was dispatched to the Swan Boat Club on the report of a vehicle through the building with multiple persons injured on the ground, as well as a possible child entrapment.
Is Swan Boat Club in your jurisdiction?
No, sir, it is not.
You were brought in as extra help?
Yes, sir, we were.
And when you received that dispatch, do you recall where you were?
Yes, sir. I was at Station 1 getting ready to pull out of the parking lot to perform some general errands for the day.
And how did you respond to that dispatch?
I responded to my department-issued vehicle with my emergency lights and siren activated to the scene, approximately 9 minutes.
Do you know about what time you arrived on scene?
I believe it would have been about 3:15.
Were there other first responders or law enforcement already there?
Yes, sir. I pulled in with Berlin Fire Department's first arriving unit, as well as the sergeant from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office.
So you were very early to the scene?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you please describe what you observed when you arrived at Swan Boat Club?
Once I parked my vehicle, I noticed the large hole in the side of the building, numerous people on the exterior of the building looking for help, asking for help, as well as an individual being attended to on the right side of the building, or right side of the opening.
Do you know who that would be?
That would have been Zane Phillips.
Okay. And did you enter the boat club?
I did, sir.
How did you enter the boat club?
Through the opening that was created by the vehicle.
What did you see when you entered?
Equal amount of chaos on the inside. To my right were 3 individuals, 2 of them, 2 females sitting in a chair and 1 female lying on the floor.
Did you interact yourself with any of the injured victims?
No, sir. I was able to ascertain that they were conscious, alert, breathing, and not in need of immediate medical attention.
Is that because of your role as a supervisor?
Yes, sir. As a senior paramedic on scene and first arriving, my responsibilities typically would be to triage or categorize the nature of injuries associated with each victim and arrange for the transport of those victims as appropriate.
And so you were ultimately involved in determining who went by ambulance or life flight if necessary?
Yes, sir, I was.
Do you recall if anybody was life flighted that day?
Yes, sir. I believe that would have been Jaden Phillips.
That is the son that survived. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And nobody else was transported via life flight?
No, sir.
Is that because it was determined their injuries were not so severe that they needed that?
For the totality of the injuries, I believe we transported 7 total patients. 1 went by air ambulance. 2 air ambulances were requested at the scene. The crew of the initial aircraft assisted in advanced life support procedures with Zane in the back of a Frenchtown ambulance.
So you requested a second as you call it, air ambulance. I call it the life flight. I'll call it air ambulance. Sorry. You requested a second one, but that was ultimately not used.
Correct. The crew was utilized, but the aircraft was not.
Why was that not used?
Those individuals from that aircraft were tasked with assisting in the resuscitation efforts with Zane.
But he did not survive.
No, sir.
So he had deceased on the scene.
Yes, sir.
Do you know do you know how many victims were transported by ambulance?
6 total by ground, 1 by air ambulance.
And do you know where those victims were sent, the ones that went? Do you know where the victim that was life flighted went, where Jaden went?
Jaden was transported by aircraft to University of Michigan Mott's Children's Hospital.
Okay. And out of the road ambulances, where were those victims transported to?
Miss Dodds was transported by a Frenchtown ambulance to Corwell Trenton. I believe it was Miss Stith was transported by a Huron Valley ambulance crew to Corwell Trenton. And then I believe we had 2 additional patients, Miss Rath and Richards, were transported by a Rockwood ambulance to Wyandotte Hospital. And then Mr. Smothers was transported by a Monroe Community ambulance to Detroit Children's Hospital.
Were some victims able to transport themselves?
That is my understanding.
So you wouldn't have been involved in that? They would have gotten a ride or driven themselves?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. So you referenced where you saw people injured in there. Do you know specifically where Miss Leah Stith was located initially?
I believe Miss Stith was at the base of the bar, almost to the end on the right side if you were facing the bar from the hole that had been created in the side of the building, laying on her back, being attended to by a male individual.
And what about Mr. Edward Smothers? Do you know where he was initially located?
I believe Mr. Smothers was in the breezeway, more or less in the center of the breezeway, sitting in an upright position. He had a obvious deformity to his right leg. He had some injuries to his face that were bleeding.
When you say obvious deformity, are you indicating what appears to be a broken?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Diane Medina, do you know where Miss Medina was found?
I believe Miss Medina was just to the left of Miss Stith, just to the rear of the vehicle.
So that would also be along the bar?
Yes, sir, at the base of the bar.
And lastly, do you know where Jaden Phillips was located?
Jaden, is my understanding that he was thrown over the top of the bar and was located to the left, down below some of the debris.
Are you saying that Jaden was hit by the car and thrown actually over the bar, but was found underneath it or behind it?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Were you involved in providing any aid to Zane Phillips?
No, sir. The only interaction I had with him was my initial assessment of him as I was entering the building, and then when I exited the building, I did stop and check for a pulse on Zane.
And at that point, did he still have a pulse?
He did, however, it was weak and thready.
Do you know where Zane was originally located?
I am not aware of where Zane originally was located.
Because he had already been extricated by
Yes,
that
sir.
time? Okay. And what about Alana Phillips? Do you know where she was located?
Miss Phillips, when I was triaging Mr. Smothers and Miss Dodds, it was made aware to me that Alana was somewhere in the vicinity of the vehicle. When I moved some of the debris, I was able to locate her at the corner of the door, just in front of the vehicle.
Were you able to remove her?
I was not.
Why is that?
Based on my training, education, and experience, I was able to determine that the injuries she had sustained were not compatible with life.
It was fatal.
Yes, sir.
Are you issued a camera that you wear daily?
No, sir.
All right. No further questions, Judge.
Cross. All right, may this witness be excused.
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. Next witness, Judge People call Deputy Stephen Schmidt.